messengers of Allah, God. Earth. Sweet human child, I am the voice of the earth. I have known you forever. Your every footstep is felt and acknowledged by me. At the deepest level we are one. There is one consciousness that envelops us both. This consciousness is majestic and unamiable. It is the Spirit of God. It is mysterious and at the same time deeply familiar. Within the hand of this creative consciousness the game of our togetherness unfolds. Together we play a game. We are partners in a relationship that has evolved over time. This relationship is now ready for transformation. We are entering a new era. But first I will tell you more about the beginning of this process of our cooperation together. It is different from what you may have expected. At our first coming together, you were not yet human. You did not possess a physical body. You were not incarnated upon earth. You were an angel. And you were not just any angel. You belonged to a family of angels who intended to pave the way for a new adventure in the cosmos. What was that adventure about? I will put this in very simple terms. In the cosmos, there is a law that like attracts like. For instance, after you die on Earth, you are automatically drawn to an area in the spirit world that mirrors your state of consciousness. Your surroundings are a direct reflection of how you feel inside. There is a unity between inner and outer. In the spirit world, there are realms of light and realms of relative darkness. These realms are separated. This is not the case on Earth, or so it would appear. On Earth many different types of consciousness are present together and interact with one another. There is great diversity, and therefore Earth is like a huge melting pot of different realms of consciousness. Even here, it is the case that you create your own reality by your inner state of consciousness. However, this is something you gradually come to understand in the course of a deep spiritual quest. At first, you are greatly distracted on Earth by an external world that does not seem to be created by your own mind at all. On the contrary, you seem to be the product of that reality rather than its creator. In the spirit world, the unity between inner and outer is simply a given, concrete and palpable. On Earth, it takes a highly evolved consciousness to realize that oneness, and to take responsibility for oneself as creator. On Earth a special experiment takes place. When you are here in physical form, a veil is put over you so that you do not recognize your own divine creative power. It remains there until you awaken and see that you are God at the core of your being. Then the veil drops and you also recognize the deep underlying oneness that pervades all living creatures on Earth. The process of awakening on Earth is intense, and the very existence of Earth gives a powerful evolutionary impulse to the entire spirit world. In the spirit world especially, there can be a lack of dynamics and of change. Indeed, stagnation has taken place because all realms are so neatly separated. Change, growth, evolution occur when you meet and confront otherness. When I speak of meeting up with otherness, I do not mean having a polite chat with it, but rather a truly plunging into it. You learn and grow from diverse forms of consciousness not by studying them from above but by becoming them. This is exactly what happens when you plunge into incarnation on Earth. You take a dive into the deep, and by incarnating you connect to diverse realms of consciousness. This is how you forge a bridge between realms of being which would not have connected otherwise. Being human means to be a bridge between widely varying realms of consciousness. In the forging of that bridge lies the hope for an expansion of consciousness in all the realms of the spirit world. Even the highest evolved realm in the spirit world gains an impulse of growth and renewal from the great experiment on earth. Humans are able to explore the extremes of light and dark, and eventually recognize the oneness behind all forms and appearances. When human beings attain this consciousness of oneness within, they become conscious creators on earth, and their presence will have a transformative and healing effect on all living creatures they come in contact with. Creating unity consciousness is the goal of your adventure on earth. I started this tale by mentioning that when we first began this process of cooperation, you were not humans but angels. Your consciousness had not yet attached itself to any material form, and you felt strongly connected with the other angels around you, your brothers and sisters. There was such a strong bond among you that you experienced yourself like the cells of one organism. You would work for a common good in a selfless, obvious way, being of the same mind and heart. At a certain moment, you heard a calling from Earth. You were invited to embark on a journey with this planet. Why you? To make a long story short, you were the bold ones among the angels. You were fearless, passionate and yes, somewhat stubborn and self-willed. The claim has been that you were banished from paradise because of your desire for knowledge and your willfulness. And yes, you were indeed curious and a bit unruly too. But that was precisely as it was supposed to be. Did you think God made a mistake in creating you? Well, no, God knew precisely what he was doing, and by the way, God does not deem anything wrong or sinful easily. God is perfectly capable of living with your sins. You are the ones suffering most from it. Although it is understandable that as a human being you may regret your own acts, it is not wise to be endlessly weighed down by them. In this respect you have suffered a lot from your religions which have put such a strong emphasis on guilt and punishment. God is more gentle and compassionate than you would ever hold possible. You are forgiven even before you trespass. God wholeheartedly grants you the space to make mistakes. He rather prefers that you look upon your own mistakes with equanimity than that you beat yourselves up about it. All those mistakes are steps on the journey within, the journey on which you fully get to know yourself. This journey need not be straight, it is meant to be erratic. Without twists and turns, there is no experience, and without experience, no awakening. You first have to get lost to be able to come home consciously. You were the ones taking the experience of lostness fully upon you, with the passion and the self-willfulness that God himself planted in your hearts. However, I am straying a bit from my subject. Once you heard the call from Earth, you entered my dimension. You found a planet rich in vegetation, with green forests, endless oceans and a burgeoning animal kingdom. You were moved by the beauty and richness of life upon me. You felt invited to participate in this life, to inspire and nurture it with the angel energy that was at your disposal. I was happy with your arrival. You were my shepherds. You helped to take care of life and even implanted seeds of change and innovation into the existing life forms. How did you do this? You were so close to the source of creative power, that you had magical abilities, as one would call it today. You allowed yourself to imagine new, exciting life forms, and these imaginings grew into spiritual seeds which attached themselves to already existing life forms. You impregnated life with new ideas. That is how biological evolution came to be. All life forms are born from spirit. Physical, material forms are the manifestation of spiritual forces. The spirit is much stronger than you assume. You have been raised in a materialist frame of mind, which tells you that the physical as described by the science of physics is the foundation of reality. In fact, the opposite is true. The spirit is not a product of soulless matter. All matter is pervaded by a creative consciousness that sustains it. Let yourself go with your imagination for a moment. Remember who you were in those ancient times. It is possible. Your soul is open and unlimited. It knows no space or time. Imagine that you float above the oceans and forests in a very refined and ethereal body. You feel enchanted about the beauty you see, about the adventure that is about to take place here. See yourself as an angelic being guided by joy and passion. You feel as free as a child who can do anything it wants. Now imagine you gather up your powers to express your sense of joy and respect for life in a magnificent flower. Allow an image to come forth of a flower which particularly allures you. See its colors and feel them from within. Hear the flower laughter welling up from its heart like little bells ringing. It is like music to your soul. Now pass on this image to me, Earth. Imagine how it falls into my womb and how it is nurtured there by physical and ethereal powers which help the spiritual seed gain material form. This is what you did in those ancient times. You let yourself be carried away by the flow of your inspiration and impregnated me with it. And I was receptive. I, the awareness present in this material realm, wanted to be impregnated and to absorb your thought forms. Our partnership and cooperation stem from that time. It is the reason why you can be so moved by the beauty of nature and the innocence of non-human life forms. You are not only touched by their physical beauty, you are also reminded of the old connection there is between you and life on earth and the joyful game you once played. You made your contribution to the creation of many life forms on earth. As an angel, you were the spiritual parent of life on earth. This is how deep and far your creative power reaches. During the time I am speaking of, there were also dark powers present in the universe, who got fascinated with the flowering of consciousness on earth. Dark powers are nothing but energies who are not yet aware of their divine nature and therefore believe they need something outside themselves to be whole and complete. These dark powers wanted to feed on the life on earth that radiated such vitality and life force. As a reaction to the intrusion of these dark powers, you wanted to protect life on earth. Your emotions were much like those of a parent who wants to shield their child from danger. To meet and confront the intruders, you had to have denser bodies and live in a denser vibration, less thin and subtle than the realm of the angels. Essentially, the intrusion by the darkness lit a spark of passion and a fighting spirit in you, and this in turn drew you deeper into matter. The next step in your journey was for you to let go of being an angel, and you took the path of incarnation. With this step, you in a sense lost your innocence. Just before this step, there was a moment of hesitation in which you realized that by becoming more material, you were going to let go of something very precious. You would lose your angel wings, which symbolize freedom from time and space, freedom from birth and death, freedom from fear and illusion. Yet there was something that deeply attracted you toward the adventure of incarnation. You were a passionate and bold angel, as I said. And that was as it should be. Apparently, your journey took a negative turn when you let go of being an angel and engaged yourself in a battle with the dark forces. You got mixed up in several conflicts and wars for a long, long time. On the other hand, this plunge into the deep made it possible to spread your angel energies to the farthest corners of the universe. Your angel energy is an unalienable part of you which, even if it is temporarily veiled, can never be taken away from you. Your first mortal bodies were not made of physical matter as you know it on earth. They were much less dense and compact. One would not be able to see them with human eyes. Your consciousness was less focused than it is now. You still went in and out of your physical forms easily, and you experienced reality in a way that is similar to how you now experience reality in the dream state. You were less aware of yourself as a separate entity, your I-ness, as opposed to the outside world. Presently, you are very much attached to your physical form. Many of you think they are that form and that they will perish with the physical body. In your earliest incarnations this was not yet the case, and in many ways you were much freer to go and do what you pleased. Nonetheless, you did feel confused. Although you were guided by the intention to struggle for light and to protect life, you now also had to deal with dark emotions such as fear, desolation and doubt. As soon as you start to battle someone or something, you cannot but partly absorb your adversary vibration. If that would not happen, there would be no common ground to start the battle from, and you would simply let go of the other completely. As an angel, you really only had high and elevated feelings. There was joy, enthusiasm and a strong sense of connectedness. When you went down the road of incarnation, an emotional body formed around your soul. This energetic body contains emotional responses that arise when you do not perceive reality from the standpoint of oneness and connection. The feelings of the angels have their seat in the heart. The emotions you experience when incarnated are related to the lower three energy centers, chakras, which in your body are located around the stomach, the belly and the tailbone. These three chakras form the ladder to incarnation. Through them you trade the experience of oneness for the experience of duality. It is also through them that you go up the ladder and rise from duality to oneness. Your emotional body presents the greatest obstacle to inner peace and liberation, because it contains fear, sadness and anger. Yet the way up, to freedom and enlightenment, goes through the emotional body and not alongside or around it. We will speak of this later. As your emotional body grew heavier and denser, and you lost track of your origin, the possibility arose to incarnate as a human. You had become widely traveled souls in the meantime. You had become experienced in both the light and dark aspects of life. The energies of duality had taken hold of you, which means that, for a long time, you have believed in the illusions it creates. If you live in duality, you believe deep within that you are alone, fearful and powerless, and that you need something outside of you to protect, feed and acknowledge you. From this notion, you start to exert power over others and you hide your vulnerability. Or you may become too vulnerable and give your power away to another power who wants to feed on your life energy. Whether you are offender or victim in this game, the fundamental error you make is that you think you cannot experience wholeness within yourself. There is a hole you want to fill, either by being boss or by being slave. This game is very painful, as many of you have experienced. In that distant past, there was a moment in which you strongly realized this. This was a moment of change. You had experienced both extremes of the game and knew there was no real solution in either of them. You knew something had to change, but you did not know how. You had become far removed from the original freedom and joy of the angel inside you. Yet your emotional body held a memory, a longing for home. You knew there was something you wanted to go back to, some home, a state of being that felt like heavenly ecstasy to you. Your emotional body now embarked on a new path. Having explored the extremes of duality, it now started to turn within. This change of consciousness created the impulse to incarnate upon Earth as a human. The human being at that point already existed on Earth as a biological life form. When you entered that life form, however, you added something to it, which made the human being less animal and more self-aware. Human biology is related to the animal kingdom, but the human being was forged by powers which do not solely spring from natural evolution on Earth. What separates man from animal is the ability to be self-aware. Through this ability, the human being is able to transform their emotional body and spread the energy of the heart consciously on Earth. Whereas the non-human realms of nature radiate the joy and connectedness of the angels unconsciously, it is humanity's mission to transform it into a conscious energy. By incarnating into the human being as it then existed on Earth, you added something to its development, and this addition has been controversial. On the one side, self-consciousness holds a great promise. On the other hand, it can lead you astray. By becoming human on Earth, you hope to reconnect with all life on Earth and be the gentle creator and keeper you once were. Being human is a rich and complicated reality. Many aspects of reality come together in the human being. You are partly animal, plant and mineral, partly a cosmic being with a long galactic history. Human beings are dark and light, the lost ones and the saviors, the cause of suffering and destruction, and at the same time messengers of hope, love and creative power. In the human being, many powers converge with the purpose of reconnecting and cooperating. The consciousness of man holds the possibility to connect widely diverging realms of being and reinstate the notion of underlying unity. Because of the possibility of realizing this beautiful ideal, humanity is granted the opportunity to make grave mistakes. The goal can still be attained. Hope is not lost yet. In this age, hope rises as never before. Great changes occur in the collective consciousness of man. I just referred to a moment in the past in which you realized that your salvation could not come from the game of stealing or giving away energy, but that the solution lies in finding wholeness within. This insight now germinates in the consciousness of humanity. It is only a seed, not yet a plant. But a change is at hand and something is awakening in the heart of mankind. The heart is the connecting force between the many realms of consciousness represented in man, the earthly, the galactic and the cosmic. The call for peace and fellowship now resounds through all of these realms, and this collective call creates a wave of energy that engulfs me, the earth. If you feel touched by my words, and recognize yourself in it, you are one who has heeded this calling of the heart. You are someone who wants to contribute to the transformation of consciousness on Earth. I welcome you and wish to assist you. I am telling you this long story to make you aware of who you really are, an angel at the core of your being. Your growing self-awareness helps me. If you remember who you are, we can again have a partnership. I see your longing, I feel your homesickness. I see you reaching out for the joyful and carefree state that once was so familiar to you on the one hand, and now still so far and distant on the other hand. It is time now to return to who you are. It is time to climb that ladder and embrace your emotional body with your heart. Surround your pain, your sense of heaviness, your sadness with the angel consciousness of mildness and compassion that is natural to you. You can heal yourself. You are now becoming an angel who is able to hold her light in the densest realm of reality. You are becoming a conscious creator, who has learned to manifest themselves in realms both light and dark, without losing themselves in it. You are carrying a seed of consciousness that is transformative for your environment. You are becoming a spiritual teacher. A spiritual teacher is not someone coming down from the highest realms to explain to the ignorant what life is all about. A true teacher has gone through darkness himself and reaches out their hand to you not from above but from a deeply sensed inner unity. The adventure you once started as a creative angel is nearing its end. Especially in this final chapter of your journey, you are invited to reconnect with me, the life form on which your experiment took place. Allow yourself to travel in your imagination, become the dreamer and visionary you once were. Own the greatness of what wants to manifest itself through you on earth. Become again the angel who graciously entrusts itself to the magic of life. Let yourself be guided by what gives you joy and inspiration. The angel inside you wants nothing more than to become fully human. By feeling one with the angel within, you bring a piece of heaven on earth.